Welcome to the Daily AI and Emerging Technology Market Intelligence Briefing. Here are today's key developments and the market implications, opportunities, and risks you need to know. And the biggest shift today is GitHub's complete retirement of GitHub models. Why does that turn platform dependency into an immediate operational issue for executive technology leaders?
As of July 30, the Playground, Model Catalog, Inference API, and Bring Your Own Key capability are unavailable to all customers, including organizations with active usage, according to GitHub changelog.
So this isn't a routine product transition. Where does GitHub direct affected projects? And what does the change mean for enterprise architecture?
GitHub directs projects needing model access toward Azure AI Foundry while positioning Copilot for AI workflows inside GitHub. Dependent enterprises now face migration work, architecture reassessment, and possible vendor consolidation.
Yet GitHub is still expanding agentic development inside Visual Studio Code. What did its July releases add, and how should leaders interpret that contrast?
They added isolated Git worktrees for Copilot, Claude, and Codex sessions, visibility into running subagents, faster diff review, multiple related chats, and chat-based handling of failed CI checks and review comments.
That investment seems strategically revealing. Is GitHub withdrawing from general-purpose model access infrastructure while concentrating on governed agents embedded in the software development lifecycle?
That's the clearer distinction supported by GitHub changelog. General-purpose model access is disappearing, while governed, workflow-specific agents inside software development continue receiving investment.
Meanwhile, model economics are improving. What exactly does OpenAI report for GPT 5.6, Luna, Terra, and Sol's fast mode?
OpenAI says Luna now costs 80% less and Terra 20% less. Sol's fast mode offers speeds up to 2.5 times standard processing at twice the price.
Those comparisons sound material, but how firmly should executives treat them when deciding whether production inference is now economically justified for more high-volume workflows?
They're vendor-reported and haven't been independently corroborated in the supplied evidence. Even so, the reported reductions materially broaden the set of high-volume workflows for which production inference could be economically justified.
But lower cost doesn't guarantee dependable output. What does OmegaUse-OfficeVal reveal about the difference between economical inference and acceptable knowledge work deliverables?
The archive describes 100 practitioner-derived Office Suite tasks averaging 2.32 hours of human labor. Evaluated frontier models were substantially cheaper and faster than people, but didn't approach human-level deliverable quality.
So the evidence favors selective automation with verification, not wholesale substitution of accountable knowledge work. Does the radiology-audit make that governance warning even sharper?
Yes. The archive's forensic audit found prompt misbindings, incorrect image rendering, missing split membership, output truncation, and changed statistical results after cohort reconstruction. The author withdrew the original performance, ranking prompt effect and clinical claims.
Then reproducibility controls and artifact lineage are business controls, particularly in regulated deployments. What tension should executives watch as cheaper models invite more experimentation?
Watch whether organizations increase experimental volume without proportionately strengthening evaluations, migration controls, and human review. Lower prices widen opportunity, but they also widen the potential operational exposure.
That exposure begins with understanding the GitHub shutdown correctly. Is this merely a restriction on new enrollment, or does it affect organizations already using the service?
It's a full service retirement affecting existing users, not a new enrollment restriction. GitHub changelog's supplied announcement provides no exception for active customers.
What important details remain undisclosed, and why could those unknowns materially change the cost and complexity of migration?
The announcement doesn't disclose usage levels, migration periods, contractual remedies, or technical compatibility of recommended alternatives. Migration cost depends on whether applications used basic inference or GitHub's catalog, Playground, credentials, and provider abstraction features.
Against that uncertainty, GitHub's VS Code releases indicate where investment is moving. How do the new capabilities address coordination and review bottlenecks?
Developers can run Copilot, Claude, or Codex in separate worktrees. Inspect each subagent's model, elapsed time, and current tool call, and review files or diffs beside the conversation.
Those capabilities sound operationally useful, but what evidence is still missing before enterprises can claim measurable benefits from multi-agent software work?
GitHub supplies no outcome data here on defect rates, delivery speed, or enterprise adoption. The features address practical bottlenecks, but GitHub changelog doesn't establish their business impact.
The agentic shift extends beyond software development. What is Google DeepMind claiming for Gemini Robotics ER2?
Google DeepMind launched it as a high-level reasoning model for robots using continuous video to track progress and respond to errors, with multi-step planning and multi-robot collaboration.
How does physical execution work, and where does Google say developers and enterprise customers can access the system?
It delegates physical execution to a lower-level vision language action model. Google says developers can access it through the Gemini API and Google AI Studio, with private preview availability on its enterprise agent platform.
That's still a primary source product claim. Which evidence needed for independent evaluation is absent from the supplied material?
Performance comparisons and safety incident data aren't included. Consequently, the claimed planning, monitoring, collaboration, and error response capabilities remain unverified by independent evidence.
Governance is moving alongside capability. What commitments did OpenAI announce concerning the EU's artificial intelligence codes and its own frameworks?
OpenAI endorsed the EU General-Purpose AI Code of Practice and the Code of Practice on transparency of AI-generated content.
And how does OpenAI connect those endorsements with the EU AI Act's next phase without overstating what the announcement proves?
It cites its preparedness framework, updated in 2025, and frontier governance framework. The announcement shows alignment intent, but doesn't establish regulatory certification, compliance findings, or enforcement outcomes.
There's also a previously reported GitHub governance change that remains operationally relevant, though it isn't new today. What happens on August 26?
Generally available Copilot models left unconfigured will inherit an organization's global policy and become available by default when that policy remains enabled, according to GitHub changelog.
Which existing choices remain protected? And what should enterprises watch as integrated agent environments expand?
Explicit model-level choices are preserved, while specified open weight and data retention excluded models remain outside automatic enablement. Watch for evidence of higher throughput without greater review burden, security exceptions, or configuration drift.
Taken together, cheaper models and stronger developer orchestration are shifting the AI market from access scarcity toward workload economics. How should organizations think about routing work?
OpenAI's reported 80% Luna reduction and 20% Terra reduction create room to route high-volume, lower-stakes steps to cheaper models while reserving more expensive intelligence for consequential decisions.
But OmegaUse-OfficeVal complicates a tokens-only calculation. Why can't inference savings be evaluated independently of remediation costs?
Because the archive indicates fast, inexpensive work has limited value when the deliverable still requires substantial correction. Accepted output economics matter more than preliminary output economics.
Infrastructure providers are also moving vertically. What acquisition involving British neocloud Nscale illustrates that strategic direction?
TechCrunch reports that Nscale is buying Anyscale, which provides AI workload orchestration around the open-source Ray framework.
What do we know about the reported price and workforce, and where does the evidence remain particularly fragile?
The reported $1.65 billion price comes from Bloomberg through an anonymous source, making it a single-source claim. TechCrunch says Anyscale's roughly 200 employees will join Nscale.
Does the acquired business disappear into Nscale, or does the supplied reporting indicate some continuity for customers and branding?
TechCrunch says Anyscale will retain its branding and existing customers. The deal's logic is ownership across energy, data centers, orchestration, workload management, and scaling.
What financial momentum and valuation context accompany that logic, and which transaction or operating details remain unavailable?
Anyscale reportedly increased revenues 70% sequentially in its most recent quarter, while Nscale was valued at $14.6 billion in a March Series C.
And the missing details include transaction terms beyond the reported price, customer concentration, profitability, regulatory requirements, and integration milestones, correct?
Correct. The supplied evidence provides none of those details, limiting conclusions about execution risk, economics, and the practical consequences of vertical integration.
Memory architecture could provide another efficiency lever. What does LLMET report for larger caches during Llama 3.170B prefill?
Its simulations increased L2 cache from 40 megabytes to 1 gigabytes, reducing chip energy 44% with a 16K context on two NVIDIA A100 GPUs.
How did the simulated results vary on an 8-GPU B200-like platform and during edge decode?
Savings reached up to 24% when moving from a 128 megabytes to 4 gigabytes on that platform. Edge decode savings reached 30% from 8 to 256 megabytes.
Those are significant numbers, but they're research simulations rather than deployed fleet results. How is AI-related memory demand already intersecting with consumer hardware?
Apple reported $54.25 billion in quarterly iPhone sales, up 22%, and $10.35 billion in Mac sales, up 29%.
What warning accompanied those results, and how much of the pressure can the supplied evidence directly attribute to AI demand?
Apple warned of significantly greater supply constraints and higher memory costs next quarter. Total revenue was $109.4 billion, but The Verge doesn't quantify how much constraint directly reflects AI demand.
So what should leaders demand from pricing, vertical integration, and memory innovation before declaring the economics genuinely improved?
Evidence of lower, fully loaded cost per accepted business outcome, not merely cheaper tokens or faster preliminary output, is the market result that matters.
That accepted outcome standard becomes urgent when systematic-looking workflows conceal broken lineage. What exactly went wrong in the radiology audit?
The archive found 297 of 300 planned calls returned in non-empty reports. Yet 60 Claude calls labeled as prompts A or B were actually executed with prompt C.
That's already consequential. What other failures crossed image preparation, extraction, and cohort construction?
4 monochrome 1 images lacked required polarity inversion. 5 reports were truncated to 4,000 characters by an unvalidated extractor, and the 30 studies represented 28 patients.
So these weren't isolated model mistakes. They crossed model invocation, data preparation, extraction, and cohort construction. How did reconstruction change the statistics?
Reconstructing a common cohort of 369 complete case-finding blocks changed Cochrane's Q from 154.73 to 182.29.
And what happened across the 45 McNemar comparisons before and after Holm adjustment?
27 had an unadjusted p-value below 0.05, and 20 remained below 0.05 after Holm adjustment.
Those results may look polished, but what limitation did the author explicitly place on their interpretation?
They describe only the archived automated label matrix. They don't recover the intended comparison or establish clinical performance, making the corrective withdrawal a warning against statistics without verified lineage.
Security presents another structural constraint. What do the researchers described by MIT Technology Review argue about instruction-based attacks?
They argue language models can't be made fully secure against those attacks because the models don't reliably distinguish the authority of different instructions.
How did the researchers reportedly induce prohibited output? And what qualification prevents that result from becoming an absolute claim about every deployment?
They reportedly mimicked chain-of-thought style text. The secondary account doesn't prove every model, deployment architecture, or mitigation fails, but it challenges claims of complete prompt-level security.
There's nevertheless a substantial defensive opportunity. What security fix numbers does TechCrunch attribute to internal AI tools at Google and Microsoft?
Google reportedly fixed 1,072 Chrome security bugs across 2 June releases, versus 1036 fixes across the preceding 23 versions.
And what did Microsoft report while citing AI during its own monthly patch cycle?
Microsoft reportedly patched a record 570 flaws in one monthly cycle and also cited AI.
Those figures sound dramatic, but what can't we infer from these single-source secondary claims?
They don't show bug severity, false positive rates, exploitability, or whether AI discovered every reported flaw. Attribution and practical security value, therefore, remain uncertain.
Given both the failures and opportunities, what operating model best fits the evidence?
Controlled amplification. Use agents for discovery, drafting, analysis, and repetitive execution while retaining deterministic checks, immutable provenance, least privilege access, and accountable approval.
How does OmegaUse-OfficeVal provide a more useful evaluation pattern than benchmark accuracy alone?
Its economic grounding pairs quality measurement with human labor time in a task price proxy, giving organizations a way to evaluate practical value rather than accuracy in isolation.
What procurement changes would show that organizations have absorbed these lessons?
Watch for requirements making traceability, verifier coverage, rollback, and accepted output cost contractual criteria alongside model price and benchmark performance.
With those criteria established, the first watchlist item is platform migration. What should organizations dependent on GitHub models do immediately?
Inventory production dependencies. GitHub has retired the entire identified service surface, playground, catalog, inference API, and BYOK, with no announced exception for active customers.
What must teams document before treating any replacement migration as complete?
Record replacement providers, authentication changes, model equivalence tests, and rollback paths, according to the operational implications of GitHub changelogs announcement.
The next near-term obligation is Copilot governance. What needs review before August 26?
Review the global default model enablement policy. Unconfigured models will inherit the live global setting, while explicit per-model decisions remain intact.
Although that development was previously reported, why does the effective date still matter operationally?
It creates a near-term control obligation for organizations requiring advanced model approval, even though the underlying GitHub changelog policy isn't new today.
For agent quality economics, how should Office Suite pilots measure value instead of celebrating speed alone?
Measure accepted deliverables, correction time, and inference expense together. OmegaUse-OfficeVal's 100 tasks average 2.32 human hours each, yet frontier models remain below human deliverable quality despite being faster and cheaper.
Can organizations inspect that benchmark closely enough to adapt its approach internally?
Yes. The dataset and code are open-sourced, allowing organizations to examine the archive benchmark's verifier-based methodology before adapting it.
Physical AI requires a similarly practical test. Which outcomes should Gemini Robotics ER2 pilots track?
Track failure recovery, latency, tool call safety, and coordination quality across heterogeneous robots, rather than relying solely on Google DeepMind's product claims.
And which capabilities does Google claim without supplying standardized success rates or comparative field evidence?
It claims real-time spatial reasoning, simultaneous planning and action, continuous video monitoring, and collaborative task execution, but supplies no standardized success rates or comparative field evidence.
Compute efficiency deserves the same discipline. How should decision-makers interpret LLMET's large cache findings?
Separate simulated architectural potential from commercially achievable savings. LLMET reports 44% pre-filled chip energy savings in 1A100-based configuration.
What commercial and engineering constraints remain unquantified in the supplied archive excerpt?
Manufacturing feasibility, yield, cost, thermals, and application-level total energy are unquantified, despite the substantial simulated reductions from much larger on-chip caches.
Enterprise adoption evidence also needs context. What does OpenAI's Unive case study say the Dutch insurer combined?
It combined leadership engagement, employee-led building, enterprise authentication, inherited connector permissions, privacy assessment, monitoring, and human accountability.
What operational improvement does the vendor-authored example claim, and which missing measurements prevent comparative proof?
It says pet insurance claims were prepared for decision in minutes rather than hours, but omits baseline volumes, error rates, total licenses, and weekly active user figures.
So the case is an implementation example, not comparative proof. As this develops, What concrete evidence should leaders watch for next?
Watch GitHub migration outcomes, independent GPT 5.6 price performance tests, robotics incident rates, and production measurements of large cache serving efficiency.
That concludes today's daily AI and emerging technology market intelligence briefing. Thank you for listening. Join us next time as we continue tracking the innovations shaping technology, business, and global markets.